So imagine sitting down to learn, I don't know, a completely new skill.
Okay.
You open up the official instruction manual, you're ready to dive right in, and then you realize that like 80% of the pages in this book are completely useless for what you actually need to do every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like it's not just unhelpful, it's actively paralyzing.
Right. It's overwhelming.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, that exact scenario plays out every single day for, well, millions of people in English language classrooms around the world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's this profound misalignment, between what the experts think people need to know and what those people actually need to do in real life.
Yeah.
It's like linguists and textbook authors, they operate a lot like liability lawyers.
So that's a good way to put it.
Right, because they want to cover every conceivable edge case just so they can say it's complete.
Which brings us to the core of today's deep dive. We are looking at this really fascinating conversation from the language learning show, English Practice World.
Yeah, the one with Paul and Emily.
Right, Paul and Emily. And in the source material, they are discussing the just sheer, unadulterated panic that sets in when a beginner opens a standard English grammar book.
Oh, the chart.
Yes, the chart. They flip to a page boldly titled, the 16 tenses of English.
I mean, just conceptualizing time in 16 distinct, like, mathematical slices, it's enough to make anyone abandon a language altogether.
Oh, I would quit on the spot.
Right. And Paul and Emily point out in the text that one of them literally almost cried upon seeing that chart.
Really?
Yeah, because they just assumed, well, fluency is mathematically impossible now.
Which is such a valid reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, if I see 16 tenses, the implicit message from the textbook is, hey, if you don't master all 16 of these, you will not be understood by a native speaker.
Exactly.
But the revelation that they unpack in this transcript, it completely flips that on its head.
Yeah, it really does.
Because to have a genuine, flowing, nuanced conversation in English, you do not need 16 tenses.
No.
You don't even need 12. You only need 3.
3 tenses. And, what makes their argument so compelling isn't just that drastic reduction in numbers, though that's great.
Right.
It's the whole shift in their philosophy. They argue that traditional grammar instruction treats language like a complex piece of engineering.
Oh, like you have to know how the engine works before you can drive.
Exactly. It forces learners to memorize, the aerodynamic properties of an airplane before they are even allowed to buy a ticket for the flight.
Okay, let's look at this through the lens of like a high-tech gadget.
Okay.
Say you buy an ultra-premium smart TV, right?
Yep.
The manufacturer includes this remote control, and it has, I don't know, 85 different buttons on it.
Oh, the ones with the little red and green and yellow buttons that nobody knows what they do.
Exactly. Why do they do that? Because the manufacturer wants to project this illusion of absolute control, right? Completeness.
Right, right.
They want a button for secondary audio programming and a button for aspect ratio adjustments and a button for sleep timers.
But look at human ergonomics. Like, where do your thumbs actually naturally rest when you hold that remote?
Just power, volume, channel.
Exactly. The manufacturer optimizes for complete theoretical capability, but the end user, they just optimize for immediate utility.
You just ignore the other 82 buttons and you still get to watch your favorite show.
Right?
So today, we are going to look at the linguistic equivalent of those 3 buttons. Paul and Emily in the source, they completely rebrand these 3 essential tenses, and they strip away all that terrifying academic jargon.
Right, to focus on the actual mechanical function in a real conversation.
So let's start with the most immediate button on our remote, which is the present.
So in traditional textbooks, this is called the simple present.
Right.
But in their discussion, Paul and Emily rebranded it as the now tense.
The now tense.
Yeah. And they define its function in a way that, well, it fundamentally shifts how a learner should even think about it.
Yeah.
Because it is not a live feed camera of what you are doing in this exact millisecond.
Okay, wait, I want to stress test that definition a bit.
Sure.
Because the word now implies, immediate real-time action.
Yeah, that's the instinct.
Right, so if I am talking into a microphone at this very second, isn't that the now tense?
See, mathematically, in Grammarland, saying I am talking is the present continuous tense.
Oh, okay.
The simple present, which is their now tense, it operates completely differently. So think about statements like, I drink coffee, or I live in a small apartment,
Right.
or I work at a school.
Yeah.
You might not be drinking coffee at this very second. You might be at work.
Obviously.
But the statement remains true. It describes your persistent reality. It's really the baseline data of who you are. Paul and Emily call it the tense of your identity.
The tense of your identity. I love that. So it functions less like a security camera updating every second and more like your ID card.
Yes, exactly.
It's the static data that you hand over to someone when you first meet them at a party or whatever.
Right.
Like, I wake up early, I run, I study business. You're basically establishing the parameters of your identity.
Because learners subconsciously understand that they are presenting their identity in these moments, they actually frequently make a very specific structural mistake.
Oh, what is it?
The transcript highlights this perfectly. Learners try to staple their identity directly to the action by forcing the verb to be into the sentence.
Ah, okay. So the classic, I am wake up at 7.
Yes, or I am like coffee.
Right. I am like coffee. I hear that one all the time.
From a psychological standpoint, it's actually really fascinating.
Yeah.
When you're speaking a foreign language, a naked verb just feels insufficient.
Yeah.
Saying I like just feels too brief, too informal.
Like you're doing something wrong because it's too easy.
Exactly. The learner feels exposed, so they pad the sentence with am to act as this sort of structural scaffolding. They really think it sounds more sophisticated or more complete.
They are essentially over-engineering the sentence.
Precisely. And the fix that Paul and Emily offer is just brutal simplicity. You have to strip away the scaffolding.
Just drop the am.
Drop it entirely. The new tense is designed to be lean. I wake up. I like coffee. It is simply the most efficient way to transfer your foundational data to another human being.
Okay, so that's our first button. We're at a party. We've handed over our ID card. We've established our baseline habits.
Right.
But a deep conversation, a real connection, it can't just sustain itself on static facts forever.
No. Eventually you run out of fact.
Right. Connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires sharing what you've experienced in the past.
Which naturally pulls us out of the present moment.
Exactly. Which brings us to the second button on our conversational remote control. The past tense.
And in the transcript, they rebrand this as the yesterday tense.
The yesterday tense?
Yeah, and the specific superpower they assign to this tense is that it turns you into a storyteller.
A storyteller. That word was heavily emphasized in the source material.
Oh, very much so.
And it makes total sense. I mean, think about the most common social lubricant we have in English.
How was your day?
How was your day? You cannot answer that question with an ID card.
Right. You can't just say, I live in an apartment.
Exactly. You have to weave a narrative. You say, well, I woke up late, I skipped breakfast, or ran to the train. You are inviting that other person into a sequence of events.
But building that sequence of events introduces what is probably the single highest barrier to entry in the entire English language.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Irregular verbs.
The absolute bane of every language learner.
Right, because to tell a story, you have to navigate these verbs that just completely mutate when they get pushed into the past.
It's so frustrating. Go becomes went.
Eat becomes ate.
Think becomes thought. The sheer volume of these unpredictable mutations, I mean, it makes people feel like they have to memorize the entire dictionary just before they can recount a trip to the grocery store.
It's intimidating. But here is where the source material delivers a really massive paradigm shift.
Okay.
Paul and Emily argue that you actually do not need to memorize hundreds of irregular verbs to be a functional storyteller.
Really?
They assert that you can tell 90% of your daily stories using a core foundation of just 10 irregular verbs.
Wait, 10 verbs?
Just 10.
I'm looking at the list they provided in the outline, and I kind of have to push back here.
Okay, let's hear it.
10 verbs to cover 90% of human experience.
That's the claim.
Let me just read the list they isolated. Go and went, come and came, eat and ate, drink and drank, make and made, take and took, buy and bought, see and saw, get and got, and have and had.
Okay.
That just feels impossibly reductive to me.
Why is that?
Well, as an adult professional, what if I need to tell my boss that I, negotiated a contract or I orchestrated a corporate merger?
Right.
Make and get are just not going to cut it in a complex professional environment.
See, that right there is the exact trap of the 200-page manual mindset.
How so?
You are assuming you need the specific, specialized button for every unique scenario. But let's look at the mechanics of circumlocution.
Circumlocution.
Yeah, the art of using simple words to describe complex ideas.
Okay.
You actually don't need the word negotiate. You can say, we had a meeting and we made a new deal.
Oh,
And you don't need to orchestrate. You can just say, I got the teams together and we made a plan.
Okay, wow. I see the utility there. You basically bypass the high-level vocabulary by stacking those foundational blocks.
Yeah, exactly.
The listener still receives the exact same payload of information, right? It's just delivered in a slightly plainer package.
And there's a really profound linguistic reason why those specific 10 verbs are the ones you need.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever wondered why those foundational verbs, like go, make, eat, have, why are they the ones that refuse to follow the regular grammar rules with the ed ending?
I honestly just always assumed it was historical bad luck.
Right, just English stealing from French and German.
Yeah, exactly. Stealing from too many different languages over the centuries and making a mess.
Well, it's actually about frequency of use. Language works a lot like stones in a river.
Stones in a river.
Yeah, the words that are used the most frequently are the ones that get smoothed down and altered by the current of daily speech.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. Thousands of years ago, human beings were constantly talking about moving, eating, acquiring things, and seeing things.
Sure, basic survival stuff.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And because those concepts were spoken millions of times a day, their pronunciations mutated and calcified long before grammarians came along and tried to standardize the language with those ed endings.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense. So the verbs are irregular because they are the most essential.
Yes.
They're literally the artifacts of daily human survival.
So when Paul and Emily tell learners to focus only on those 10 verbs, they aren't just giving them a random shortcut.
Right. It's not a hack.
No, they are literally pointing to the 10 most heavily traveled neural pathways in human communication.
Let me bring in a cooking analogy here to sort of ground this.
Okay, I love a food analogy.
So, looking at a chart of 200 irregular verbs in a textbook, it's basically like standing in front of a professional chef's spice rack.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking at, galangal, saffron, star anise, and it is terrifying.
Because you don't know what any of it does.
Right. You don't know the interaction metrics of any of these powders, so you just opt out and order takeout instead. You completely give up.
Because you truly believe that unless you use the saffron, you aren't really cooking.
Exactly. But what this transcript is saying is ignore the massive rack. Look at the 10 staple spices.
The basics.
Salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. Those 10 irregular verbs are your salt and pepper. You can cook a completely satisfying, highly nutritious conversational meal using only those staples.
Right. Like, I went to the store, I saw my friend, we had lunch, I bought a coffee.
It isn't a Michelin star sentence, but it feeds the conversation perfectly.
It feeds the conversation, and more importantly, it builds conversational momentum.
Yeah.
Which actually transitions us beautifully to the third button on our remote.
Okay, so we've established our baseline identity with the now tense. We have built trust and shared experience with the yesterday tense.
But human beings are inherently forward-looking creatures. We need a mechanism for action.
The future.
Exactly. And following their naming convention, Paul and Emily rebrand the simple future, the one using the word will, as the tomorrow tense.
The tomorrow tense, so sentences like I will study or we will leave.
Right. And they note in the source that, mechanically speaking, this is by far the easiest tense to master.
Oh, because it offers total structural relief.
Exactly. There are no irregular mutations to memorize, no ed endings to worry about.
The formula is utterly rigid.
Yes, it's just subject plus the word will plus the base verb. I will go. She will see. They will eat.
It acts like a mathematical constant in a language that is just full of variables.
Right.
Now, I appreciate a rigid formula, but I want to dig into the psychology of how we actually use it in practice.
Okay, let's do it.
Because usually when I think of the future tense, I think of heavy, calculated planning.
Like 5-year goals.
Yeah, exactly. I will buy a house. I will retire at 60. But the transcript highlights a completely different, much lighter application of the tomorrow tense.
Yeah, they really emphasize its role in spontaneity.
Spontaneity.
Right. The tomorrow tense isn't just for, long-term construction. It is your emergency lever for immediate, unscripted action.
Like what?
Well, the example Paul and Emily use is brilliant in its simplicity. Let's say someone drops a heavy box right in front of you.
Okay.
You don't pause to consult a 5-year plan or run through complex grammar.
No, of course not.
You instantly react with, I will help you.
Oh, that duality is fascinating. It basically operates like a linguistic Swiss Army knife.
That's a great way to look at it.
It is robust enough to handle massive structural declarations like, I will graduate next year.
Right.
But it is lightweight enough to be deployed in a microsecond when someone spills a glass of water on the table. You just say, oh, I will grab a towel.
Exactly. And that dual utility is exactly why they designate will as the ultimate go-to tool for the future.
Go-to being another keyword they highlighted.
Yes. Because look, the cognitive load of just trying to predict the future is already high enough.
Tell me about it.
By using will for literally everything, promises, predictions, spontaneous reactions, long-term plans, you dramatically lower the processing power required to formulate your sentence.
You just completely bypass the mental gymnastics of choosing between, going to or shall or the future continuous, and you just react.
Right.
Lowering cognitive load really seems to be the invisible thread connecting all three of these tenses.
Absolutely.
And Paul and Emily, they demonstrate this beautifully in the source material by running all three of these tools through a single, really mundane topic to show how they flex together seamlessly.
Yes, the pizza exercise.
The pizza exercise. Let's look at that because it is a masterclass in functional efficiency.
It really is. They just take one very basic subject and filter through the 3 buttons.
Okay, let me read it exactly as they lay it out in the text.
Go for it.
So, for identity, using the now tense, they say, I eat pizza every Friday.
Okay.
Then for the narrative, the yesterday tense, they say, last Friday, I ate a huge pepperoni pizza.
Right.
And finally, for the action, the tomorrow tense, they say, next Friday, I will try a new pizza place.
See? And they do the exact same thing with coffee later on.
Oh, right.
I drink coffee. I drank coffee. I will drink coffee.
Wow.
With just those 3 structural pillars, you have successfully communicated a personal habit, you've shared an anecdotal story, and you've sated an intention.
And really, what else does a casual conversation actually require?
Almost nothing.
Right. If I'm sitting at a cafe with a friend, that cycle of habit, story, and intention covers probably 95% of our dialogue.
Easily.
It just proves that fluency isn't about possessing a massive inventory of grammar. It's about agility with a very small inventory of grammar.
Which brings us to what I believe is the philosophical anchor of this entire deep dive. At one point in the show, one of the speakers delivers a quote that just synthesizes this whole approach perfectly.
I know exactly which quote you mean.
They say, grammar books want to be complete, but speaking wants to be useful.
Complete versus useful.
Yeah.
That really is the central tension of language learning, isn't it? The textbook authors, they are optimizing for perfection.
Right.
They want to prepare the learner for every microscopic, theoretical, linguistic possibility, no matter how rare or obscure it might actually be in the real world.
But human conversation does not optimize for theoretical perfection. It just doesn't.
No.
It optimizes for the efficient transfer of ideas. It wants to get the concept out of my brain and into your brain with the absolute least amount of friction possible.
And completeness actually introduces friction.
Exactly.
Because the pursuit of completeness inherently creates paralysis. We see this exact same psychological trap in almost every complex skill we try to learn, not just language.
Oh, for sure.
Like, think about someone trying to learn how to code or how to use a really professional video editing software, or even play the guitar.
Right.
The beginner looks at the interface, sees hundreds of tools, and assumes that mastery means understanding what every single tool does before they begin.
Right. They truly believe that until they know what that secondary audio programming button does on the remote, they aren't allowed to watch the movie.
Exactly. So they spend weeks reading the manual, they get totally overwhelmed, and eventually they quit before they've even written their first line of code or played their first chord on the guitar.
It's sad, really. But the professionals, the ones who actually produce the work every day, they will tell you that they only use about 20% of the software to accomplish 80% of their tasks.
Oh, the Pareto principle.
Yes. It is the strict application of the 80-20 rule to language acquisition.
Right.
Do not study the dictionary. Study the vital nodes. And what Paul and Emily have done in this transcript is isolate the linguistic 20% that yields the 80% conversational return.
Identity, story, and action.
Now, yesterday, and tomorrow.
It is just incredibly empowering when you realize that you do not need to be perfect to be understood. You just need to be clear.
Right.
The friction just goes away when you stop trying to build an architectural marvel and just focus on handing the other person the right tool.
However, while this provides a massive sense of relief for anyone trying to learn English, it also sort of forces us to turn that analytical lens back onto ourselves.
Oh, wait, where are you going with this?
Well, if we accept the premise that useful fundamentally trumps complete, it raises a deeply provocative question about our own relationship with our native language.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about the vocabulary you possess in your native tongue. The language you have been absorbing and speaking literally since you were a toddler.
Right.
You theoretically have access to tens of thousands of words, highly complex conditional tenses, incredibly nuanced phrasing. But observe yourself for the next 24 hours.
Okay.
How much of that mental grammar book do you actually open?
Oh, wow. That is a staggering thought.
Right. Are we all walking around carrying the mental weight of a 16-tense, 200-page manual full of sophisticated vocabulary that we never actually touch?
Probably.
In our day-to-day lives, even in our native language, aren't we essentially relying on the exact same handful of staple spices and go-to verbs to navigate our days?
We absolutely are. I mean, we think we are operating this massive, complex machine, but in reality, we are just hitting the power, volume, and channel buttons over and over again.
Exactly.
We are prioritizing utility over completeness in our own lives without even noticing it.
The shortcut isn't just for beginners. It is the fundamental architecture of how human beings connect with each other.
Man, I am never going to look at a remote control, a spice rack, or even just a casual conversation the same way again.
Same here.
The completeness really is an illusion. The utility is the reality. So for everyone out there listening, whatever you're learning, keep your three buttons close.